Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. I'm Ty Glenn. Hope you guys are having a great day. Hopefully you got to go trick-or-treating for Halloween last night and stayed safe as well because, of course, you never know what can happen. So you always want to make sure you're staying safe and, be aware of your surroundings. If you, did go trick-or-treating last night, but if you didn't, there were 7 NHL games on the slate for you to watch at home if you did not go trick-or-treating, and we are going to break them down right now. So William Nylander, he scored twice in the Maple Leafs 4-1 win over the Seattle Kraken Thursday. So Maple Leafs, they're getting into that rhythm. I mean, their last game was a 6-4 win against the Winnipeg Jets, which snapped their 8-9 game winning streak to start the season. John Tavares had a hat trick in that game. The Maple Leafs win this game against the Kraken 4-1 after the Kraken blew out the Canadiens 8-2 in Tuesday's game. Austin Matthews, he had a goal and an assist in the Leafs win. John Tavares, he had 2 assists in the win. And Joseph Woll made 24 saves for the Kraken. This is his second start of the season after missing the first 7 games with a groin injury. And the Leafs moved to 6-4-1 of the season. Eeli Tolvanen, he scored for the Seattle Kraken, while Joey Daccord made 26 saves for Seattle, who are 1-3-1 in their past 5 games, so not looking good so far for the Kraken. They are 5-5-1 of the season. The Kraken continue their 5-game road trip in Ottawa Saturday as they face the Senators at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time, while the Maple Leafs head to St. Louis to take on the Blues Saturday for a back-to-back road trip set, and the Leafs will be in action Sunday against the Minnesota Wild at Xcel Energy Center at 5 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Moving on to the Flyers and Blues game. So Bobby Brink scores the game-winning goal in the third period as the Flyers win 2-1 against the Blues. He scored the game-winning with about 3 minutes left in that third period. Garnet Hathaway also scored for the Flyers, and Samuel Ersson made 20 saves for Philly, and they moved to 4-6-1 of the season. The Flyers have also won 2 straight games following their 2-0 shutout win in Boston Tuesday, which of course was the first win for the Flyers in Boston since October of 2011. For the Blues side, Nathan Walker scored for St. Louis, and Jordan Binnington made 19 saves for St. Louis, who are now 5-6-0 of the season. Fun fact, Jordan Binnington made his NHL debut against the Philadelphia Flyers, which of course was a shutout win in Philly. And then, of course, we all know what happened after that. The Blues turned their season around. They went all the way to the Stanley Cup in 2019, won in 7 games against the Boston Bruins. So I just wanted to throw that out there. They return home Saturday for the start of a 5-game homestand against the Toronto Maple Leafs at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time, while the Flyers will be in action against the Boston Bruins Saturday at 12 o'clock p.m. Central Time. So it will be an afternoon game for you guys to watch. So not really, it hasn't even been that long since the Flyers have faced the Bruins. So they just faced the Bruins Tuesday. Now they're back in action against Boston Saturday. Moving on to the third game of this Halloween slate for Thursday. So Sidney Crosby scored the 2 goals in the Penguins' 2-1 overtime win against the Ducks Thursday. So, of course, one of those goals had to be the overtime game winner. He tied the game in the third period just 1 minute and 43 seconds in. And then he scored 2 minutes and 35 seconds into OT for the game winner. Alex Nedeljkovic made 22 saves for Pittsburgh, which they end a 6-game losing skid. Entering this game, they were 0-5-1 in their last 6 games, so they just ended that 6-game losing skid, and they were outscored 26-13 in their previous 6 games, and they had at least 4 goals in each of their previous 7 games. So, and they moved to 4-7-1 of the season. So still not looking good for Pittsburgh, but hey, at least that 6-game losing skid has snapped. For the Ducks side, Alex Killorn scored for Anaheim, while Lucas Dostal made 44 saves. So, of course, the Penguins had outshot the Ducks in this game, 44-23, 44-22, I believe Not sure how much it was, but it was by a margin for sure. And so the Ducks have now lost 3 of their 4 games during their 4-game road trip, and they're 4-4-2 of the season. So they end their 4-game road trip they won against the Islanders. So 1-2-1, I believe. 1-2-1, because they did lose against the Rangers in regulation. So 1-2-1 for their 4-game road trip for the Anaheim Ducks, and they moved to 4-4-2 of the season. The Ducks return home for the start of a 6-game homestand against the Chicago Blackhawks Sunday at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time, while the Penguins will face the Montreal Canadiens at home Saturday at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. And the Penguins and Canadiens game will air on NHL Network for U.S. residents. So if you're residents living in the U.S., it will come on NHL Network. And, of course, this game is part of Hockey Night in Canada for all my Canada residents. So all my Canada residents, you guys will be able to watch this, of course, on Sportsnet and Sportsnet Plus. All right, moving on to the Canadiens and Capitals. So Alex Ovechkin notches 3 points in the Capitals' 6-3 win over the Montreal Canadiens. He had a goal and 2 assists in this game, and he had 3 goals in his past 2 games for a total of 858 goals in his career, and he only needs 37 more goals, just 37 more goals to pass Wayne Gretzky, the great one, on the NHL's all-time goal-scoring list. And in the game as well, Alexei Protas and Tom Wilson, they each had a goal and an assist in the Capitals' win. Trevor Van Riemsdyk and Dylan Strome each had 2 assists, while Charlie Lindgren made 13 saves, and the Capitals moved to 7-2-0 this season, and they're a perfect 5-0-0 at home, so they have just been really good when it comes to playing on home ice for the Washington Capitals. For the Canadian side, Nick Suzuki had a goal and an assist, and Cole Caulfield scored in his 4th straight game for the Canadiens, and that is his 10th goal of the season. So tied with Nico Hischier for 10 goals in the league. So not something that we, kind of see. We usually see players like Connor McDavid and, Austin Matthews. Well, actually, Connor McDavid, I describe him as more as a playmaker than a goal scorer. But we usually see players like Austin Matthews or possibly Alex Ovechkin, and Alex Ovechkin at the top of that list, of course, when Ovi was playing in his prime. Lane Hudson, he had 2 assists in the game, while Caden Premu made 28 saves for the Canadiens, and the Canadiens moved to 4-6-1 of the season. And like I said, of course, they'll be in action Saturday in Pittsburgh at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time, and the game will air on NHL Network for U.S. residents. And the Capitals end their 3-game homestand against the Blue Jackets Saturday at 4:30 p.m. Central Time. Well, it was certainly a big night on Halloween for the Hurricanes as they win 8-2 over the Boston Bruins Thursday. So Marty Necas had 4 points in that game, so goal and 3 assists. So he certainly went trick-and-treating and, got all the candy and the goods in that game as well. Andrei Svechnikov had 3 points. So 2 goals, 1 assist, and Jack Roslovic scored twice in that game with 2 goals. Shane Gostisbehere and Seth Jarvis each had 2 assists in the game, and Pyotr Kochetkov made 13 saves for Carolina, and they have won 5 in a row right now. So the Hurricanes have been red hot of late. They're 2-1 at home, and they're 7-2-0 overall of the season. For the Bruins side, Hampus Lindholm and Brad Marchand scored for Boston. David Pastrnak had 2 assists in the game, and hasn't been really good for Boston. It's just been downhill for Boston as they're 1-4-1 in their past 6 games. So we're not used to seeing the Boston Bruins like this, but in their past games they have just been playing like straight garbage. And I'm sorry if you're a Boston Bruins fan listening to this. They have just been, not good of late. So I don't know what is up with Boston. We're not used to seeing them play like this. Jeremy Swayman, he did get pulled in this game. He allowed 6 goals on 22 shots faced in net. And he was replaced by Jonas Korpisalo, who made 13 saves in relief. The Bruins are back in action Saturday at 12 o'clock p.m. Central Time, so an early afternoon game against the Philadelphia Flyers. And the Hurricanes continue their 4-game homestand against the Washington Capitals at 4 o'clock p.m. Central Time. I think that will be on Sunday. Sunday. That'll be a Sunday game right there. Hurricanes Capitals 4 o'clock p.m. Central Time on a Sunday, because the Capitals do play tomorrow against the Blue Jackets. So a little back-to-back for them. All right, moving on to the Oilers and Predators. So Leon Draisaitl, not just 3 points of the night in the Oilers' 5-1 win over the Nashville Predators. He had 2 goals and 1 assist in the game. And, of course, the Oilers were without their superstar and captain, Connor McDavid, who will be out the next 2 to 3 weeks due to a ankle injury. He was injured in that Oilers 6-1 loss to the Columbus Blue Jackets on Monday. So, obviously, if you're an Oilers fan, obviously not the news you want to hear, but they finally, surprisingly, got it done without Connor McDavid in this game. I thought the Predators were going to use that as an advantage to win in this game against Edmonton, but obviously that's not the case. And, for the Predators side, I hate to say it, but this kind of was a joke. I mean, you could have used that as an advantage to win against the Oilers without Connor McDavid. And their final meeting of the season, of course, is in November. And it's in Edmonton, so they will not be playing at Bridgestone Arena. So the Edmonton Oilers sweep those 2 games at Bridgestone Arena. And they'll play in Edmonton for their final meeting of the season. So obviously losing in this game was a huge joke to the Predators. Like, I don't know how could you lose in this game. You could have at least won, since the Oilers did not have Connor McDavid in the lineup, and they just somehow lost. But anyway, for the Oilers side, Zach Hyman and Victor Arvidsson, who used to play for the Nashville Predators, each scored their first goal of the season, and Calvin Pickard made 26 saves for Edmonton, who moves to 5-1 of the season. He played his 3rd game in the Oilers' 4-game road trip. For the Predators side, Philip Forsberg scored the lone goal for Nashville, while UC Saros made 24 saves, and the Predators moved to 3-6-1 of the season. The Oilers wrap up their 4-game road trip in Calgary when they take on their arch rivals, the Calgary Flames, Sunday at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time, while the Predators continue their 3-game homestand against the Avalanche Saturday at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time. So it will be a Saturday night showdown in Smashville. So you guys are looking to go to the game Saturday against the Colorado Avalanche. I think that will be a great game. 2 divisional rivals right there, and these 2 teams have met in the playoffs before, so it should really be a great game to watch, despite the Avalanche being without some of their key players like Gabriel Landeskog, Valery Nichushkin, or Terry Lehkonen, and a few more other players. All right, moving on to the final game of this Halloween slate. This was a late night game, so if you were a Blackhawks fan like me, or if you were a Sharks fan, you didn't go trick-or-treating last night, and you just wanted to stay up and watch this game. This game came on at 9:30 p.m. Central Time, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time, so this was a late night game to watch. If you didn't want to go trick-or-treating and whatnot last night, you could have stayed and watched this game if you were a Blackhawks fan or a Sharks fan. But the Sharks, they hold on for the 3-2 win against the Blackhawks. Will Smith, the Fresh Prince, I'm just kidding, but Will Smith, the hockey player, he gets his first two career NHL goals. And he had the game-winning goal on that power play in the second period, so one of his goals turned out to be the game winner. Of course, he was drafted 4th overall in the first round of the 2023 NHL draft by the San Jose Sharks. Alex Wenberg, he also scored in this Sharks win, and Jake Wallman had an assist for his 7-point in his last 3 games. So 1 goal, 6 assists for 7 points in his recent 3 games played. And Mackenzie Blackwood made 29 saves for the Sharks, and they moved to 3-7-2 of the season. So the Sharks, 3rd straight win now for San Jose. I mean, after starting off the season 0-7-2, they get their 3rd straight win. I mean, they had a comeback fashion against Utah Hockey Club on Monday, and then Tuesday they win against LA at home. Of course, that was a California game right there. And then Thursday on Halloween, they win against the Blackhawks. So the Sharks, they have just been rolling. And the best part, or at least the odd part for me, is they have been doing this without Macklin celebrating. They're star players. So I don't know, like, how are they getting these wins? But, of course, these two teams are two rebuilding teams, by the way. So that's kind of what also made this game more intriguing, despite Macklin celebrating, unfortunately, not being in the lineup for San Jose. It's that the Blackhawks and Sharks, they're rebuilding and they're trying to work their way back to the Stanley Cup playoffs. But the Sharks, they moved to 3-7-2 this season. For the Blackhawks side, Ryan Donato and Tyler Bertuzzi scored for Chicago. And Ryan Donato has 4 goals in his last 3 games. And he actually leads the Blackhawks in goals with 6. Connor Murphy, he had 2 assists for the Blackhawks. And Peter Mrazek made 26 saves for the Blackhawks as they moved to 3-7-1 in the season. So 2 identical records right there for the Blackhawks and Sharks. But the Hawks, they continue their 5-game road trip against the LA Kings Saturday at 3 o'clock p.m. Central Time, while the Sharks continue their 5-game homestand against the Vancouver Canucks Saturday at 9 o'clock p.m. Central Time. All right, so NHL games on the slate. We got the NHL Global Series between the Florida Panthers and Dallas Stars coming on at 1 o'clock p.m. Central Time on NHL Network. And this is the first of a 2-game set for the NHL Global Series. Of course, the second one will be played tomorrow at 11 o'clock a.m. Central Time. This will be taking place in Finland. I did a preview on my TG Hockey channel. If you guys did not see that video, if you didn't see, you want to go ahead and check that out before the game comes on. It will come on at 1 o'clock p.m. Central Time, 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. So want to make sure you go ahead and check out that preview on the TG Hockey channel before the puck drops for that game. And then we got the New York Islanders heading to Buffalo to take on the Buffalo Sabres at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. And then we got the Ottawa Senators heading to MSG, Madison Square Garden, taking on the New York Rangers at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Of course, the Sens play tomorrow against the Seattle Kraken, so this will be a back-to-back set for the Ottawa Senators. And then we got the Winnipeg Jets taking on the Columbus Blue Jackets at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Of course, they are looking to rebuild or, looking to rack up some more wins after their, 6-4 loss to the Toronto Maple Leafs. The game after that, they did win 6-2 against the Detroit Red Wings, so they are looking forward to continuing on that, momentum right there in Columbus against the Blue Jackets. Then we got the Tampa Bay Lightning taking on the Minnesota Wild at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time. And then last game of the night, New Jersey Devils heading to Calgary to take on the Calgary Flames at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Time. And then we got some Hockey Night in Canada games. So after the second game of the NHL Global Series in Finland between the Panthers and Stars, that will come on at 11 o'clock a.m. Central Time tomorrow. Will air on NHL Network. And then we got some Hockey Night in Canada games after that with the Seattle Kraken taking on the Ottawa Senators at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. And then we got the Montreal Canadiens taking on the Pittsburgh Penguins at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. It will air on NHL Network for U.S. residents. And, of course, if you're living in Canada, it will come on Sportsnet and Sportsnet Plus. And then we got the Toronto Maple Leafs heading to St. Louis to take on the Blues at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. And in the final game of the night to wrap up Hockey Night in Canada, we got the Vancouver Canucks taking on the San Jose Sharks at 9 o'clock p.m. Central Time. And then Sunday, first game of the NHL Network Showcase. So NHL Network Showcase showing its first game of the 2024-25 NHL season. This will feature 2 rivals, 2 New York teams, New York Islanders taking on the New York Rangers at 12 o'clock p.m. Central Time, Sunday, 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. So this will be a great game to watch to kick off the NHL Network Showcase game of 2 division rivals right there. But anyway, guys, that is going to do it for this episode. So thank you guys for tuning in as always. Really do appreciate each and every one of you that tunes into the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. Hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day. God first as always. Be blessed. Lots of hockey coming up this weekend, so make sure you tune in. And I will see you guys next time for another episode of the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. Take care.